Hello?
Hey, Paul, it's Karen. I'm on my way, headed to the car. See you in about 40 minutes or something like that. Do you guys need anything? You want me to stop by the store?
Oh, that's great. You know, just sandwiches. Anything for sandwiches would be fine for us.
Okay, sandwiches. All right, good. See you in a bit.
All right, thanks, Karen.
Hey, Paul. Good to see you too.
I see you brought some groceries for us. Wow, thanks so much for bringing the groceries, Karen.
Oh, no problem. I had to go to the store anyway. So I brought you bread, some mayo, a couple of really pretty tomatoes. They're on special today. Huh?
Fine, right?
And lettuce.
And what else you have in there?
Oh, I brought you home a white boy.
Tell us about the book and why people should pick up this book and read it.
The title of the book is Don't Bring Home a White Boy and Other Notions That Keep Black Women from Dating Out. And I know that title, Don't Bring Home a White Boy, for a lot of people is like, huh? What? What are you talking about?
Sure.
What I'm talking about is for a lot of women who are born between 1960 and about 1975, we're in that first generation after the Civil Rights Act, after the integration of schools, after the integration of neighborhoods, a whole sea change of where black people live, work, and who they go to school with. And so I think many of us were told or received the message from our communities that it's fine to live with them, it's fine to work with them, it's fine to go to school with them, but at romance we draw a line.
Sure.
Right. And so the title speaks to that woman who has heard that phrase and as a result, probably her whole life has never really considered white men as viable partners for her. Well, we're living in a time when 70% of black women are single, 42% have never been married. It's time to re-examine that Don't Bring Home a White Boy edict. And the whole book is about reframing those notions that keep us from thinking outside of the black box when we're looking for mates.
Fair. Now, you talked about time. What I find fascinating about this book is the time in which the book came out. I mean, it feels like we're at the pinnacle in our community, in traditional media, about conversation around love and relationships. Why do you think it is that we're so intrigued about the topic of dating in today's world?
We're always intrigued with, I think probably relationships have always been one of the primary of human concerns because, you know, obviously they lead to the propagation of our species. So we want to find partners and we want to mate and love and have children and all those things. But I think right now it's particularly critical within the black community because of the stats that I just offered. There are a lot of single black women. There are a lot of single black men too. But I think right now it's sort of working for black men the way it is. I think a lot of black men who are single don't want to marry and don't need to. In communities like DC and in New York and Atlanta and Chicago and LA, from what I'm hearing, you know, the ratio of single black women to eligible black men is 5 to 1, 6 to 1, astonishing numbers. So for men, it works. You're in demand. You don't have to make any big commitment to any woman. You can kind of date around. You can have lots of options. And so I think for women right now, it's sort of like, well, I want a family. I want to be married. I want what I see other women having. How do I get that?
So that's interesting because so you said that men, maybe they don't want to and they don't need to.
Yeah.
So would you say that black women in particular both want and need to?
Well, need is a hard word, but I think want to is probably right. I think that the women certainly that I've interviewed and who write me and I talk to are saying, you know, I want to be in a relationship. I enjoy having a companion. I enjoy having the attention of someone who loves me and respects me and wants me.
Sure.
And so they seek that. And I'm not saying that men don't want that, but I do think for men it is a little bit of a different experience. And there are men who can definitely enjoy the variety.
Right. It is such a controversial topic, interracial dating, that is. This is the 21st century now, right? We have more interracial relationships than ever before. We have a biracial president. Why is it that interracial dating still is deemed to be so controversial?
Well, we have more of them, but they are all black men with women of other races, almost all. In fact, 3 out of 4.
Okay.
interracial relationships, black-white interracial relationships, are black men with white women.
Wow.
What you are not seeing is black women, this group overwhelmingly single and overwhelmingly unhappy about it, hence the number of stories and so forth. What you're seeing, you're not seeing black women make that step. And one of the reasons you're not seeing black women make that step are some of the notions that I talk about in the book. The idea that somehow if you do marry outside the race, that you are harming the community,
sure,
that you're selling out, that, you know, the desire for a black family. And these are all, in and of themselves, things that we should be concerned about. We should be concerned about our families and our communities. But we do have to realize that with the current stats that we have, where black women outnumber black men, before you get to anything else, there are 2 million more of us over the age of 25 than there are black men. So there's just a disparity of numbers right now, and other criteria that make it really hard for black women to find those partners. And we have not been willing to look outside the race. One stat I found recently was that 14% of married black men are married to a non-black woman. And that's not including that, that's not just white women, it's Asian and whatever, Latin and whatever. So black men are looking at the variety again.
Sure.
But black women, 4%.
There's a lot of dialogue right now about black men or black women dating out.
Right.
But what about other ethnic groups dating out? Why is it that we don't hear, say, white women coming up with the solution around them being married, and their solution is dating black men, or dating, or Asian men dating dating Latino women? You know, why is it that the solution that we hear more times than not is about what black women need to be doing?
Well, I think, you know, part of that is not entirely accurate. I do think that there are communities where Asians talk about that Asian men have the same kind of problem that black women do.
Sure.
They're perceived as the least desirable partner for some reason, or they're marrying at a lower rate than Asian women are, and they tend to marry within the culture more. So there are places where that's being discussed. The perception certainly is within the African American community is that we're always talking about this. We're always talking about that relationship. But in the wider mainstream culture, we're always talking about it too, because, you know, we're still far from healed on racial issues between blacks and whites in America. And so when things happen, or when we start talking about relationships, when we start talking about black-white interracial relationships, it does raise a degree of cultural sensitivity, because that's still not healed. There's still probably the widest gap still between black women and white men. That's one of the reasons. And you will hear more about the black male, white female relationship, simply because there's so many of them now. And so that does raise a certain level of conversation and insight into it.
Okay.
We're really comfortable with other mixes. If you can get over the black-white sort of taboos and stigmas from our history, then all else is good. That's right. All else is good.
Sticky paper butterfly.
Nice.
Lettuce.
What else do you have in there?
We're kicking, snaring to the air, so you can dance.